August 1989. The quiet, affluent streets of Beverly Hills were shattered by a gruesome double murder that would capture national attention. José and Kitty Menendez, the parents of Lyle and Eric, were found brutally shot to death in their opulent mansion. Initially, the brothers claimed that an intruder had committed the crime, but as investigators dug deeper, the shocking truth emerged: the killers were their own sons. This revelation set off one of the most controversial and publicized trials in American history.
Your father have sexual contact with you?
Yes.
The Menendez brothers argued that they were pushed to the brink by years of horrific sexual, physical, and emotional abuse inflicted by their father. Yet, the jury and the public remained divided. Were they victims of their circumstances or privileged killers seeking to claim their inheritance? Now, decades later, their story is gaining renewed attention, fueled by new evidence including a poignant letter from Eric that details the abuse and allegations against José Menendez from former Menudo band member Roy Rossello. With Netflix's upcoming documentary Monsters, the Menendez brothers' story and social media buzzing with support for the brothers, many are questioning whether this could be their chance for redemption or just another chapter in a complex saga of tragedy and controversy. The crime. On the fateful night of August 20, 1989, Lyle and Eric Menendez executed their parents in cold blood, a chilling act that would shock the nation. The details of that night were horrific. José Menendez was shot in the back of the head while sitting on the couch, while Kitty attempted to escape but was mercilessly gunned down in a barrage of bullets. The sheer brutality of the attack was evident. Kitty was shot 9 times, leaving her face so disfigured that it was nearly unrecognizable. The brothers even went so far as to shoot their parents' kneecaps, attempting to stage the crime as a mob hit. In the immediate aftermath, Lyle and Eric pretended as if nothing had happened. Lyle called 911, feigning shock and grief, as if they had just discovered their parents' lifeless bodies. Yet behind the facade of devastated sons, they embarked on a wild spending spree, throwing away over $1 million on luxury items, expensive watches, high-end Porsches, a lavish condo, and even an investment in a restaurant. Initially, the police had no suspects in this brutal crime, but the brothers' extravagant spending quickly raised suspicions. The real turning point came when Eric confessed to his psychologist, Dr. L. Jerome Oziel, during a therapy session. This confession, which revealed the brothers' emotional turmoil and desperation, was reported by Oziel's girlfriend to the authorities, leading to the arrest of Lyle and Eric in March 1990. The public was stunned. The sons who had once portrayed themselves as victims of an unspeakable crime were now the main suspects in a shocking family tragedy. As details of the crime emerged, the media frenzy escalated. The story captivated audiences across the nation, with headlines screaming about the rich kids who killed their parents. This portrayal set the stage for a complex narrative that would unfold in the courtroom and in the court of public opinion. The first trial.
Opening statements today in the trial of 2 Beverly Hills brothers accused of murdering their wealthy parents.
The trial of the Menendez brothers in 1993 became a sensational spectacle that captivated the nation. In a shocking twist, the defense didn't argue for their innocence. Instead, they claimed that Lyle and Eric had been driven to murder by years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse inflicted by their father, José Menendez, a powerful figure in Hollywood. According to the brothers, their father's abusive behavior had escalated to a point where they felt that killing him was their only option for escape. This trial marked one of the first times a case was broadcast live on television, and viewers were deeply divided. The brothers' harrowing testimonies about the alleged abuse, complete with graphic details of their father's sexual assaults, swayed some in the court of public opinion. Many sympathized with their claims, especially considering how Kitty, their mother, allegedly turned a blind eye to the ongoing abuse. However, the prosecution maintained that the Menendez brothers had murdered their parents out of sheer greed. They argued that the lavish spending spree following the murders, where the brothers purchased luxury items and went on extravagant trips, was clear evidence of their true motives. In the end, the jury could not reach a unanimous verdict, resulting in a hung jury.
7 years and 2 trials later, Lyle and Eric Menendez were formally sentenced today in Los Angeles for the brutal murders of their parents. Following the recommendation of the jury that convicted them, the judge gave the brothers life in prison without parole.
The case was retried in 1995, and this time, the jury found the brothers guilty of first-degree murder, sentencing them to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The trial exposed not just the facts of the case but also the complexities of family dynamics and the hidden horrors of abuse. It raised questions about societal perceptions of wealth and privilege, and whether those factors could blind people to deeper issues at play. This case served as a lens through which many examined the broader implications of familial relationships and societal expectations. New evidence and public support. Fast forward to 2023, and the Menendez brothers' case has resurfaced in the media, propelled by the discovery of new evidence that has reignited public interest. A letter written by Eric Menendez to his cousin in 1988, just a year before the tragic murders, has come to light. In this letter, Eric openly discusses the abuse he was suffering at the hands of his father, stating, "I need to talk to you about the serious things that are happening to me. It's still happening." This letter, which was never presented during the original trials, has raised significant questions about the brothers' claims and their mental state leading up to the murders. Adding to the complexity, Roy Rossello, a former member of the iconic boy band Menudo, has come forward with his own allegations, claiming that José Menendez sexually abused him as well. Rossello's testimony lends further credibility to the brothers' narrative of growing up under the shadow of a predatory father. While these new revelations do not negate the fact that the Menendez brothers committed murder, they have prompted many to reconsider the context of their actions. Could they have been acting out of fear and desperation rather than simple greed? Public sentiment toward the brothers has seen a resurgence, particularly on social media platforms like TikTok. Younger audiences, many of whom were not alive during the original trial, are beginning to view the case through a lens of empathy towards victims of abuse. TikTok videos advocating for the brothers' release are going viral, accumulating millions of views and sparking debates about justice and victimhood. The narrative is shifting, more people are questioning the motivations behind the murders and whether the brothers deserve a second chance. Moreover, discussions surrounding mental health and the impact of childhood trauma have become more prevalent in today's society. Many are drawing parallels between the Menendez brothers' experiences and those of other survivors of abuse, pushing for a broader understanding of how such trauma can manifest in violent actions. This evolving discourse reflects a growing awareness of the need to address mental health and the legacy of trauma in our communities. Legal efforts and possible retrial. Despite their convictions, the Menendez brothers have never stopped fighting for their freedom. In recent years, their legal team has been actively working to introduce new evidence in court, citing changes in California's laws surrounding the introduction of evidence in abuse cases since their original trial. Their attorneys are hopeful that these legal changes could pave the way for a new hearing. Simultaneously, the impending release of the Netflix documentary is expected to shed even more light on their story. With a renewed focus on the Menendez brothers' case, there is a growing movement advocating for a retrial based on the compelling new evidence. If granted, a retrial could potentially lead to a reassessment of their sentences or even their release. While it's too early to predict how this legal battle will unfold, one thing is clear: the Menendez brothers' story is far from over, and the public is watching closely. As the legal landscape shifts, discussions about the possibility of parole and what justice truly means for the Menendez brothers continue. Advocates for the brothers argue that they have already served decades in prison, while opponents maintain that their actions were unforgivable. This ongoing debate highlights the complexities of justice, especially in cases involving trauma and abuse. As more voices join the conversation, the Menendez brothers remain at the center of a poignant dialogue about crime, punishment, and redemption. Conclusion. 3 decades after the brutal murders of José and Kitty Menendez, the narrative surrounding their sons, Lyle and Eric, continues to intrigue and divide public opinion. Were they cold-blooded killers driven by a desire for money, Or were they victims of years of abuse, compelled to commit an unimaginable act out of fear and desperation? As new evidence emerges and public attitudes shift, many are questioning whether justice for the Menendez brothers needs to be re-evaluated. With the upcoming release of the new Netflix documentary and ongoing legal efforts to revisit their case, it's entirely possible that this tragic story could take yet another dramatic turn. What do you think? Should Lyle and Eric Menendez be granted a second chance, or have they already paid the price for their actions?